no way somebody's actually doing this in real life. Like, if I see that, I might just walk out of the establishment. Or, you know, I'm gonna ask for a refund. I'm just be like, hey, bro, just give me my money back. You know, like, you trying to stay into my soul. This feels like an NPC interaction. No way. You're a bot.
What go down with the Major fam today, man? It's Major and we back with another one. Today's topic is the Gen Z stare. And what exactly is the Gen Z stare? You know, me personally, I don't know what the Gen Z stare is, but the older generation, like millennials, say the Gen Z stare is that blank stare that Gen Z does when we're working in a customer service role, and you know they greet us. So you know, for example, we'll be like, "Hey, how you doing?" And you know, we give them that blank stare. I don't know if I experienced that personally, but I could be biased because I am Gen Z. But we're gonna be finding out a little bit more about what Gen Z, millennials, and the older generation before millennials have to say about this stare. But before we get into it, y'all make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell if you would like to see more of me. With all that being said and done, let's go ahead and get into the video.
Let's dig into what the internet is calling the Gen Z stare or the Gen Z gaze. You might not know what that means, but you've definitely been on the receiving end at one point or another. Those young people who look past you with a blank, emotionless stare into nowhere gaze during normal everyday interactions while you're trying and attempting to communicate with them. First things first, a couple of disclaimers here. Most people online are not arguing over whether or not the Gen Z stare exists, but rather how and why it's deployed. Here's one example.
Hey, how are you? Can I help you find anything, or are you just looking around? Looking.
Here's another one.
Do you need a minute?
Oh, ain't no way.
I can give you a minute.
What about this one?
I want a latte with whole milk, but I'm lactose intolerant.
All right, Gen Zers.
Hey, to all my, you know, millennials and people older than Gen Z and everything, do we do that? Do y'all think we do that? I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily seen that, but then again, like I said, I could be biased, you know, like maybe I just got so used to it and I'm desensitized to it because I see it so often. But, you know, I'm gonna start checking next time I go to the store, or, you know, I go out to order something. I'm gonna see if I see that Gen Z stare that y'all be talking about, because I don't know if I necessarily seen that. I feel like that's kind of exaggerated right here for, you know, comedic purposes, but you know, so a lot of people are saying that they experienced that, but I don't know, man. Y'all let me know. Bro, that's crazy. If we actually doing this, man, that may be our brain cells getting fried from the phone, and so we do that Gen Z stare. I don't know what's going on.
Are, of course, rightfully defending themselves, saying that working in customer service jobs, the stare is a reaction to, quote, stupidity. And they want to remind the internet that their jobs stink. One person wrote on X that if you had to deal with the insane amount of absolutely bleeping, brain-dead people you've ever met in your life for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, you'd probably do this too.
Yeah.
But hang on. Some people are pushing back on that narrative, saying, look, good customer service is a privilege, it's not a right, and so is your job in customer service. Another person on social media says, look, guys, meaning Gen Z, you're making yourselves way more replaceable by AI. There are some hypothetical reasons for this phenomena, which sociologists say.
I ain't gonna lie to you though. Customer service is a hard job. It is a hard job. Depending on whatever customer service you are, it's probably not, you know, very physical, but it's very, you know, mentally tasking, especially when you got to deal with people emotions all day. You got to make sure you saying the right thing. You say one wrong thing, it could set somebody over the top. So, you know, hey, maybe that stare is valid. Maybe one of those is pretty valid. You feel me? Because, hey, you be drained. You taking on everybody else's emotions, and at the end of the day, Imagine you the last customer. You might get that stare. I can understand it. I can understand it. You know, I used to work in customer service myself, and hey, I may have hit one of those stares. I might be guilty of one of these stares. No lie. But dang, is that a Gen Z problem? Or is it, or is it gonna start becoming like a, a society problem? At least for like customer service. Yeah, is that a Gen Z problem or is that more so like a customer service role problem? I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like since we see a lot of Gen Z people that's, in the Gen Z range and everything, they just now starting to work and they're in these customer service fields. So we're seeing a lot more of them. So that's what we termed it. We coined the term as. I think I'm saying that right, but that's the term that we gave it, the Gen Z stare. I don't know, man. Could be the phone. It could be plenty of things. Could be. It could be we don't have. A lot of people are saying it's due to us not having social skills because we on our phones all day. Hey, look. Me personally, that's probably the most believable thing that I can see why the stare happens. We on our phone all day. People be having anxiety and all types of things due to the phone. But I feel like it's a mixture of the phone and not only the phone, but also just dealing with customers all day. Boy, that's draining. That's just draining. You just want to go home and lay down.
Could be linked to the decline of verbal skills and social skills
See?
after the COVID-19 pandemic, specifically as it relates to Generation Z. A 2024 survey from Preply found that reduced in-person interactions have particularly affected Generation Z. This lack of exposure affects their ability to read social cues, engage in spontaneous conversations, and build interpersonal relationships. That's from a public relations exec in Forbes magazine when the survey came out. So the bottom line is, like it or not, the gaze is here to stay. Let's dig into what the internet is calling the Gen.
Hey, man. We gonna have to get used to that gaze. Everybody just gonna be doing the 1,000-yard stare. One of them Kurt Angle stares that. Yeah, I know y'all seen that. The 1,000-yard stare. Ooh, man. Hey. That's the name of that's gonna be the name of the new generation working, the 1,000-yard stare generation. Goodness gracious, man. Y'all ready for that? Now we heard one side, of people complaining about the Gen Z stare. Now, this video is a little bit of kind of, same thing, what the Gen Z stare is, but it also has some of Gen Z defending itself. So let's hear Gen Z side and hear what Gen Z has to say what the Gen Z stare is.
This so-called Gen Z stare has divided the internet and even generations, with people arguing that it's actually become a real problem in the workplace. The stare has been described as a vacant, unresponsive gaze, which the group uses instead of small talk when responding to customers, co-workers, and people in general. Some have debated that the stare...
Bro, no way we doing that. No way. Y'all let me know, please. I haven't ran into anybody doing this stare. Like, I only see this in movies. No way somebody's actually doing this in real life. Like, if I see that, I might just walk out of the establishment. Or, I'm going to ask for a refund. I'm going to just be like, hey, bro, just give me my money back. Like, you trying to stare into my soul. This feels like a NPC interaction. No way. You're a bot. That's what So be saying. You're a bot. Yeah, no.
is used when responding to a customer who's asking a question that's considered dumb or stupid.
Do you guys sell cookies here?
We have the Gen Z stare because most of y'all are just clueless. Some customers make you question, how are these real people?
It's fully booked. I can't put you in that class.
But some say...
And those people in those videos, those were Gen Zers saying, that's why they do the Gen Z stare. And, they think Gen Z the people in those videos, they think the stare is of annoyance, and that's what we call the Gen Z stare, apparently. But she's about to go on and explain.
It's been misinterpreted, arguing that the stare replaces what would normally be a verbal response to questions such as, "Hi, how are you?"
Gen Z does that for mandatory small talk.
We're talking about the stare when anyone tries to have just a normal human interaction with you, like in the flesh, and you guys freeze the up.
Now, this stare has sparked a broader
Now, that's what millennials and older generations are saying what the Gen Z stare is. Like, we just freeze up and we do that blank stare. I don't know if I seen that. I seen more of the stare of annoyance, what the Gen Zers are talking about when people ask a dumb question, and then, we do that stare of annoyance like, are you serious? But every generation has that stare. That wouldn't be coined as the Gen Z stare. So I feel like millennials, they probably, y'all are probably right, man. As much as I hate to admit it, y'all probably right about what that Gen Z stare is. But I mean, I haven't seen that personally. I have not seen that personally. Like, that's like a movie, bruh. Imagine you just walk into the establishment, somebody stare you down after you just said good morning to them. What? I'm telling you, I'm walking out of the establishment. No way. No way I'm staying there. They may put me on the same wavelength that they on. I don't need no problems.
On whether younger generations just lack communication skills in the workplace. According to a study by US firm Intelligent, 18% of managers have considered quitting because of the stress managing Gen Z employees. The report also found that managers say that Gen Z engage in excessive phone use and demonstrate poor work ethic. So what do you think? Is the stare warranted, or is it just rude?
See, and then she mentioned the phone thing again. Hey, man, is it the customers or is it Gen Z? I don't know. At this point, I really don't know if it's the customers or if it's Gen Z when it comes to this Gen Z stare. But we may have some things to work on in Gen Z, but we still young. A lot of Gen Z is still young, so we still learning. We learning how to get through in life and how things work. Even though it seems like everything is crashing around us, we still getting through. We still pulling through, man. Y'all gotta give Gen Z some credit, man. The older generation be so hard on Gen Z. Y'all be so hard on us. Like, man, at least give us some credit. Y'all can't give us a pat on the back. Why can't we just start being nice to each other? Why the older generations always gotta be mean to each other? Every generation, we always be talking about the younger generation. Dang, man, we can never give the younger generation a pat on the back. What they say? We're the future. Hey, remember that. We gonna be taking care of, the millennials and everything. Well, yeah, we gonna be taking care of y'all. Give us a pat on the back. Give us some credit. But nah, man, I'm just playing with y'all. Y'all let me know, though, if y'all seen that Gen Z stare, because I have not seen that Gen Z stare. That is wild that some of y'all experienced that. And I'm sorry that y'all had to experience that. I promise you, that is not what Gen Z is like. Well, at least not all of us. I'm not like that. I don't know what they going through. I don't know if it's the drugs or what. Don't know. But hey, y'all let me know down below. And, this is a discussion for Gen Z, all generations, man. Have y'all seen that stare? Do y'all know what that stare is? What is that? But with that being said and done, man, that's the end of the video. I appreciate y'all for watching. It's Major, and I'm gone.